Hey you guys, it's me SHANiA and I'm back again with another DIY tutorial. And in today's video, I'm actually doing a video collaboration with Barbara from Be Blue DIY channel. You should definitely head over to her channel and check out the video that she made. And the theme that we are working with today in our video is stripes. She'll be showing you how to make these super cute wide leg striped pants, so head over to her channel to see the full tutorial. I'm going to be showing you how to make this gathered striped tube top. The really cool thing about our collaboration is that if you use the same fabric, you can kind of create a sort of like two-piece outfit. So that's just something to keep in mind, you know. So start by measuring where you want your top to be. You could either measure your overbust or your bust exactly, and remember that the bust is where your nipples are. So I decided to measure my overbust, and my measurement is 36 inches, and that is going to be measurement A. The next thing you want to measure is measurement B, and that's how long you want your shirt to be from the starting point to wherever you'd like it to finish. So my measurement B is 9.5. So then I took my fabric and I folded it in half, and the reason why is because it wasn't long enough width-wise. So I'm just gonna cut it in half along the fold, and then I'm gonna put the two pieces together to create one long row of fabric. Now if you don't need to do this part, then remember that later on in this tutorial you can skip the divide by two part. So I'm just cutting off this frayed edges so that I have two neat pieces, and I'm going to put the two pieces together by sandwiching them on top of each other, making sure that right sides are facing, and you want to make sure that you line it up so that the top edge is neatly even on both layers. And then I'm just going to clip along the edge of both layers of the fabric, and you can find these clips below in the description box, and I'm just sewing it with a straight stitch. So this is what my seam looks like, and this fabric is super prone to fraying, so I'm just going to finish off the seam so that it doesn't fray. You can use a serger to finish the seams, or you can use a regular sewing machine and just use the settings on the screen, and it will give you the same effect. Now we need to take some calculations in order to make our pattern. So you're going to take your measurement A and you're going to multiply it by 1.5 or 2, and then you're going to divide that by 2. You only need to divide by 2 if you cut your fabric in half at the beginning of this tutorial. Otherwise, do not divide by 2. After I did the math, I got 27 inches, so that's going to be my measurement C. Now this is the pattern that you'll need in order to make your top. I added a 1/2 inch seam allowance to the width of my pattern, and that is optional. I also added an inch to the length of my pattern, since I will have a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the top and a 1/2 inch seam allowance at the bottom. This is what my pattern looked like after I cut it out, and as you can see, I have that beautifully finished seam on the side of my rectangle. Now again, if you did not divide your fabric in half in the beginning, you will not have this seam. When I open my pattern, it looks like this, a super long strip of fabric, and I'm just going to hem it by doing a double fold, and then I'm going to clip it down, and then after that I'm just going to do a straight stitch all along the edge. Like so. It should look like this, very neat, and you're just going to repeat the same step on the other side. With my fabric facing right side up, I'm going to measure 1 inch from the top, and then I'm going to mark it. Then I'm going to continue this all across the pattern to create one solid line like so. And this line is going to be my guideline for when I am shirring the fabric. To share my fabric, I used this elastic thread, which you can find on Amazon. The link is below in the description box. And I basically wound my bobbin by hand, and you want to do it by hand because you don't want it to stretch. You just want to hold it very lightly while you wrap it around the bobbin, and then you want to cut it off when you're done, and remember to put the elastic through this slot. It's very important that you do. And then you just load your bobbin into your machine like so, and you want to pull up the elastic, so just drop your needle and bring up the elastic to the top right underneath the presser foot. So these are the settings that I used in order to shear my fabric, and I know that it is different for certain people according to the machine, the type of fabric, etc. But if you have any trouble regarding how to shear your fabric, if you're running into any problems, then definitely stay tuned for my next video where I'm going to be addressing some of the common problems that we tend to run into when we are gathering fabric. Make sure that you start off with a tail of thread, and you want to position your needle above the line, and then you want to bring your needle down and sew on this line because it's going to be your guideline. To finish off your row of shearing, you're going to basically just stitch until you get to the edge of the fabric, and then you're just going to lift up your presser foot. You're going to lightly pull the fabric so that the thread comes out, and then you're going to cut off about a 1/2 inch away from the edge of the fabric. You do this so that we can leave a tail so that the shearing won't come out. Do the same thing over again, and the only difference now is that we're going to use the row that we just finished, and we're going to line it up with the side of the presser foot like so. And by lining it up with the presser foot, it's going to become our new guideline. And again, you just want to cut the tail about a 1/2 inch away from the fabric, and repeat the same thing and use the previous line as your guideline along the side of your presser foot. If you finish your elastic thread while you're in the middle of a row, the way to fix it is by just taking it out, and you can see here that the elastic thread is finished. So we're just going to take out the bobbin, rewind it, reload it, and then we're going to continue where we left off, where the row did not get finished, and we're going to line that row up directly underneath the needle, making sure that the side of the presser foot is lined up with the row before it, and then we're just going to continue stitching like normal. I made the mistake of not keeping my fabric flat on both sides of the presser foot, and for that reason I have like a lot of folding all the way up to the top. If I would have corrected the issue from the beginning, then I wouldn't have had the problem, and you would be able to see the stripes more clearly. So you don't have to shear your whole shirt. According to how big you want your ruffle to be is where you can decide to stop shearing. This is what my top looked like when I stopped shearing, and to create a closed top, we're just going to fold it in half with the elastic facing up, and we're going to pin along the sides, and then we're just going to straight stitch along the edge. After that, you can serge the edge to create a neat finish, or you can zigzag stitch and then just cut along the edge of the zigzag like I did. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, if you enjoyed this tutorial, then you should definitely be sure to check out my other videos. And before you do that, make sure you head over to Barbara's channel and check out her video and her DIY tutorial, as well as the other cool videos that she has up on her channel. So until next time, ciao.